What's up, my peeps? Mrs. Zane Wu here, coming to you from the ZW Nation. Here to bring you a theory video. Now, I don't really make theory videos, but this one has been on my mind for a good little minute now. And it is you could say the Time Force, like the origins of Power Ranger Time Force, pretty much. Like how Time Force came to be. And we're gonna start actually at Time Force back in the year 2001, not 3000, but 2001, with the Silver Guardians. I know you're probably wondering, what in the world does the creation of Time Force have to do with the Silver Guardians? Well, I'm here to tell you. The Silver Guardians were created, by Mr. Collins, Wes's father, and he had them, to basically protect the city, but you have to pay them to protect the city when the Rangers weren't necessarily around, or if the Rangers couldn't get there in time. The Silver Guardians were there. Now, Wes and Eric, the Red Time Force Ranger and the Quantum Ranger, wind up taking over the Silver Guardians and stuff. And as we saw in reinforcements from the future, they were still doing stuff. They were still patrolling. They were still trying to handle business and all the other good stuff. Now, what I believe happened is they continue to work on stuff, and they were like, we need more. Like, we need more people within the Silver Guardians. We need to build on the Silver Guardians. And Mr. Collins, in Power Ranger Time Force, tried to replicate the Quantum Ranger's powers. So what I believe happened is eventually they found someone to help replicate the powers, and they created a new team of Power Rangers from the Silver Guardians. And that new team of Power Rangers from the Silver Guardians, with the not Operation Overdrive, my bad, Space Patrol Delta. Now, I know y'all are probably calling bullshit on this. Like, ain't no way the Silver Guardians became SPD. How are you so sure that they didn't? Now, I think SPD was like the year 2020 or 2025, something like that. And that's a little ways from here. Now, granted, Power Ranger does not exist, and aliens and stuff, they were pretty cool with us in that time period, and I doubt that that's going to be that way in real life. But in the world of Power Rangers, anything is possible. Now, SPD could have came from the Silver Guardians. I truly do feel that they did come from the Silver Guardians, because think about it. What were the Silver Guardians? The Silver Guardians were like special ops SWAT team when it came to dealing with monsters and stuff. And that's kind of like what SPD is. SPD, they're cops. They're futuristic cops, and they brain down a bunch of different thug creatures and stuff, from multiple planets, because we're cool with aliens then. But mainly the evidence is in the Blue Ranger, Sky. Now, Sky mentions how his father was a Red Ranger, and when we finally get to see his father, we see him on a picture, and we see the red Time Force uniform on him. What? Hold on, here it is. We see Sky's father. Now, most people speculated when they first saw this that Wes was his father. Wes is not Sky's father. For one, look at the name. Like, Sky's last name is not Collins. And it's not Jen's name, because more likely if Wes had a son, it would have been by Jen. And you see the Time Force uniform, but you see Well, hold on. You can't really see it. Like right there on his chest is the little pendant thing, and it says SPD. The Silver Guardians could be responsible for SPD. I just want y'all to think about that. Now I know y'all probably still like, well, how does that tie up the Time Force? Well, that was the year 2020 something. They're space cops and stuff. They're doing what they do. Now, what if around the year 2080 something, SPD decided we're going to rebrand ourselves and became Power Rangers Time Force? Now that we've come full circle, full loop, I want y'all to really think about this. If SPD was made from the Silver Guardians and became Power Rangers Time Force, what made the Silver Guardians become SPD in the first place? Well, that is Jen and the rest of them going back in time and teaching Wes about this stuff, teaching everyone about Time Force. It's an infinite loop. They had to go back in time to stop Rancid. While doing that, they allowed their technology to fall into the hands of modern day people. Those modern day people modified and what is the word I'm looking for? Modified and well, like they basically made a bunch more of it. What it has a actual name, but I can't think of it right now. Um, mass produce. They mass produce their powers with the Silver Guardians. The Silver Guardians became the first team of SPD. SPD continued to be SPD, and then became Time Force. Time Force went back in time. Infinite loop. Is an infinite loop. Time Force was created because of Time Force. The Silver Guardians became SPD. SPD became Time Force. Time Force went back in time. Silver Guardians became SPD, etc., etc. Not just I just want y'all all to soak all that in. Just really think about this because it makes sense if you really do think about it. Power Rangers SPD became Time Force. Time Force went back in time and met the Silver Guardians. The Silver Guardians becomes SPD. I've been Mr. Zane Wu from the ZW Nation. I hope you enjoyed this theory. And like Zordon would say, let the power protect you.